I find perfect matches every day, but people get in the way.
Do you already have a perfect match for me that I'm going to get in the way of?
Horizontal with Lila. Horizontal with Lila.
Hello, my horizontal lover. Horizontal is the podcast about sex, love, and relationships of all kinds, recorded while lying down. This is the kickoff of Season 4, my season of experiments. I'll be playing with form in all sorts of ways, with coaching sessions and mashups and crossovers, happenings and themes and advice sessions, horizontality in unexpected places, and other intimate surprises. In all my visions for Season 4, I never considered recording virtually as one of the experiments, let alone the central experiment. But the world changed. I never wanted to record virtually. I was, in fact, entirely adamant about recording in person, right next to my guest, sharing a pillow, shoulder to shoulder, wearing robes. That's how it went. I felt the vibe depended on it. The depth. The felt intimacy translated from our proximal bodies through the magic of the recorded sound waves and into you. I thought the only way you would truly feel as if you were lying down next to us was if we were, in fact, literally lying down next to one another. But then the world changed, and in this world, recording in person becomes less of an option. In this world, our intimate struggles have only intensified. I've started giving free intimacy advice on Instagram and offering intimacy roadmap sessions on Zoom, 60-minute coaching sessions with a takeaway plan. Our need for nourishing connection remains central to our well-being. The difference is, now, pretty much everyone is aware of that. Therein lies the paradox for us to manage, as Esther Perel says. We are more aware than ever that we require intimacy, and COVID times makes it exponentially harder to meet those needs. The struggles people bring to me are so often about distance now. We ask, when will it be okay to hug our friends again, go to a party, dance with strangers, do anything at all in a crowded room? How can we connect across distance, have sex at a distance, cultivate intimacy despite distance, feel nourished by the kinds of intimacy available to us at a distance? How can we date responsibly in a way that feels real? I grapple with questions like these daily in parallel to you. It feels like a test of my superpowers in a way, but perhaps this is just the sort of thing I've been preparing for. I have a toolbox full of ways to connect that I've been honing for most of my life, and my mission holds steady: to make the world a more intimate place. One episode, one conversation, one essay, one video, one session, one workshop, one course, one talk at a time. So here is my current pursuit. How can I weave the kind of empathetic cocoon that I cultivate in person, in bed, with someone who is horizontal across the world? I have so many opportunities to find out. Once I embraced the idea of recording remotely and grappled with the technical learning curve, I became enlivened by the possibilities. I could potentially lie down with anyone on the planet. In the first 4 episodes of Season 4, I virtually lie down with Lamarck Thomas, global matchmaker, relationship expert, sweetheart, psychology-versed purveyor of kindness, native St. Helenian, marriage equality advocate, husband to Michael, and, as he has been dubbed by The Telegraph, the gentle but determined Cupid. Our first 2 episodes will be available in all the podcast places for all the horizontalists. The second 2, in which we explore Lamarck's childhood as an effeminate boy growing up on a very small island, belonging, and his landmark marriage to Swedish husband Michael, will be available exclusively to my patrons of the horizontal arts. Become a patron for access to the full horizontal by navigating directly to patreon.com/horizontalwithlila. That's spelled patreon.com/horizontalwithlila. You must use that link exactly, because creators who are dubbed adult are hidden by Patreon's search engine. We still have a long way to go to transform our sex-negative culture, my horizontal lover. In this, my first horizontal experiment with Lamarck, he interviews me as though I were his newest matchmaking client. Full disclosure, I am the only one horizontal in this episode. Lamarck is in consulting mode, seated in his office in Sweden, and I am, in a way, on the matchmaker's couch across the world in Bali. And just in case you were concerned, Lamarck does get horizontal with me in our upcoming episodes. In this episode, I reveal myself deeply. I share my visions for a romantic relationship, my struggles with belief and sexual attraction, some of the men I've hurt and some who have hurt me, my pattern of choosing unavailable men, a fear of feeling suffocated, whether I've experienced emotional attraction and sexual attraction at the same time, and what I would need to feel free to be all in. At the end of the session, Lamarck asks me what I love about being me and what I believe my future partner will love about being with me. Come lie down with me for one of the most vulnerable episodes I've ever recorded in Uluwatu, Bali, Indonesia, and Stockholm, Sweden.
I am not so horizontal. I'm in consultation mode in my office right now. So welcome to the Match Palace.
I love that. I saw a picture of it, and I love that it has a matchstick making history, and you're a matchmaker. It's just adorable.
I'm glad you appreciate that. You know, not so many people appreciate that I'm the matchmaker in the Match Palace.
How could they not? They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I take every opportunity to sell it. Yeah.
Sold.
But I would love to zoom in a little bit on you today, or maybe more than a little bit, and talk about your life, your goals for a relationship, and see, how we can help.
Okay.
Can we start by talking about your intentions for a relationship? I would love for you to share in the present tense the relationship that you are envisaging.
As though I already have it, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in a really sexy, playful, intellectually stimulating relationship with a great deal of mutual respect and admiration, a focus on communication and growing together in our communication. A relationship that is flexible to the changes that we encounter within ourselves and between us as we travel through life together. We travel a lot. We can work from anywhere, and we go where we feel moved to go. We also spend time cultivating our solo lives and our solo selves and our solo endeavors. We have lots of friends, and we wouldn't lose any of them if we were to break up because they're not those kind of people. We are happily child-free. We're both creatives in some way, and he deeply appreciates my mission and what I'm doing in the world. And I'm the same way for him, so we're always in the front row for each other, either cheering each other on or being a part of each other's endeavors on the planet. We have great sex. It's super kinky and exciting, and we are exploring fantasies that we have never explored before with each other. I feel so safe to express and to unfold my sexuality in a way that I've never felt before with any other partner. And unlike with any other partner, the physical attraction has remained really strong. Even when we have difficulty, that doesn't abate, that doesn't go away. So I'm incredibly delighted that I've found my human to play with in an ongoing and ever expanding way. What else? I don't know what else at the moment.
Wow, it's beautiful to hear, and sounds like you have thought of this.
Yes.
How do you fight?
We fight by taking time to understand how we were triggered, why we were triggered, what has to do with us about the fight so that we can own our part, and then come together creating a space to cope with the conflict as opposed to erupting in the moment. I think we fight by noticing the escalation and taking a cool-off period, a break, before coming in to deal with it.
Yeah. And what type of life do you lead together? Where do you live? What does it look like around you?
I can't see a place, and I think it's because we travel. We've had some adventures in van life and tiny home living together. And we will stay in stints in places that are delightful to us. 6 months, a year. But as I'm trying to envision, I don't see any particular landscape or any particular architecture. I can't see foliage. I'm not seeing that.
And how does your relationship work when it comes to other people? Are you in a monogamous relationship, a monogamish relationship?
We have a monogamish relationship at the moment. We started in a monogamous container as we built trust and depth together. And then we started to push against the boundaries a little bit, and we've started exploring with the understanding that we can always go back, that we can expand and contract the container. But we're open to being open in some ways at some times, and we are communicative about it. We're both very sexy people, so our sexiness may not be totally fulfilled by a single relationship.
When it comes to the purpose of your relationship, is there a purpose, and if so, what is it?
Purpose. I have not thought about this before. The very first thing that came into my mind when you said the word purpose was companionship. I've been saying that I wanted 3 things. That I wanted to be really hot for each other, to have mutual admiration, and to really, really love each other's company. So I love my partner's company, and having great company is really healing for me. I was a really lonely kid, and I've struggled with loneliness throughout my life. I know that we do some healing together, but I wouldn't say that healing is the purpose of our relationship. I think the purpose of our relationship is to expand into our capacity for human delight and fulfillment and depth and intimacy.
And in our past conversations, you've mentioned a bit about collaboration. Do you do something together? Do you have a mission?
My mission to make the world a more intimate place is something that he shares. He and I have been working on a TV show, a global documentary TV show about intimacy that I host. And he's a brilliant cinematographer. So, I mean, if we're going for it, if we're talking the dream here.
It's the intention.
Yeah, I think it's just that we collaborate because we see that the world is in need of intimacy, and that really that is a keystone to healing the humans on the planet.
Yeah.
And so we make art together that furthers that mission.
Thank you for sharing that. How does it feel to share that intention?
Vulnerable. Yeah, I want to cry.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing it. I know that in sharing this intention, it can be very vulnerable for a lot of people because it's often something that is so close to our hearts, but somehow we can hold it in our hearts without sharing it. And I love for us to be able to share that intention so that we can step towards it.
Yeah, it's vulnerable because it illuminates also how far we are from our heart's desire, from what we really want.
Yeah. Where do you feel that you are now?
What do you mean?
When you say that we are so far from our heart's desire, so where are you now in relation to your heart's desire?
It's just hard to imagine actually having it. Like really having it. It's easy to imagine. It's hard to believe, actually. It's hard to believe that something like that is possible for me.
And I think that is the first step. Brené Brown says that those who find love and belonging, or the difference between those who find love and belonging and those who don't, is simply
It's
that
the ones who believe that they deserve it.
Exactly. And I think that's why I spend some time on the intention. And I would recommend that you write this intention down in the present tense, and that you spend some time reading it and owning it and believing in it. Can you do that?
I can write it down. I can spend time with it. I can own it. But
I can't force you to believe in it.
Believe it? No, I mean, will I believe it? Like, there's nothing about force. Like, it's like, will I believe it? That it's possible, having no history of it, no experience in something like that. That's faith, and I think I struggle with faith. That's a place where I am maybe lacking.
I think that you're absolutely right. We can spend time with something and then see what comes out of it. And I think that sometimes we can have many templates of relationships that are too romantic, or sometimes it's the fairy tale template that's in our head, or we have the templates of of difficult relationships, and for our bodies to really feel and know the healthy templates that we are longing for is quite difficult, and that comes with experience and intention.
How do people have faith? I feel the same way about religious people. I'm like, how do you just believe? How do you just believe? There's no evidence, like zero evidence to.
I think the interesting thing, if we talk about hope, the more that we try and the more that we go towards that goal, the more our hope for it increases.
I can certainly hope.
And maybe that's what we'll go with.
Okay.
Can we talk a bit about your previous relationships?
I've only been in 3 relationships that lasted about a year. Everything else has been much shorter. So I imagine that those are the relationships you're referring to? Relationships of consequence or of some kind of length?
Yeah, when we spoke before, you talked about 3 relationships that you have been in, and I wondered if there is a pattern that you find yourself falling into in your relationships.
My first partner that I had for what I'm saying is like a length of time, but was a year, was in college, and he was my best friend, and I got into a romantic relationship with him because I didn't want to lose him as a friend, and I knew that he loved me, and I knew that he wanted to be in a relationship with me, and he was very, very good to me, but I was never really sexually attracted to him. That caused both of us a lot of pain. The fact that I was his partner, but I wasn't really sexually attracted to him. And the second one that was more long-term, gosh, who even was that?
What was that? Say that again.
No, I said, gosh, who even was that? No, but now I remember. There was a guy in the tango community in Portland who I felt some shame in being with him. He was really pretty widely considered to be annoying and a character. I actually think I was attracted to him sexually for a while, and then he stopped fucking me at some point, and I complained. I remember a fight we had on Valentine's Day when we were driving some other people, and we were outside his car and they were a little ways away, and we had this fight, and he was like, well, you you being like, I need more doesn't turn me on. And then I wound up breaking up with him, or saying we were going on a break, really, and then dating somebody else in the tango community, which caused a lot of drama, who I was initially very sexually attracted to and then wasn't, so lost my attraction. And it came out later that my boyfriend, my original boyfriend in that scene, had serious trauma that he hadn't shared with me that was affecting our sex life. But he didn't share it with me until after I broke up, after I was done, basically, after I broke up with him. So that was the second one. And then the third one, I was also a bit embarrassed of, actually. He was a 5 years sober alcoholic who had fucked a lot of things up in his life and was now really setting about doing a lot of repair. We triggered each other a lot, I think. We triggered each other a lot. And I started going to codependence, support group for codependence during that time.
where it was really helpful for me, and I learned a lot about myself. So that was a gift from that experience, that I started to do that self-examination. It wasn't a great relationship, and I also wasn't incredibly sexually attracted to him. So there's a theme of loss of sexual attraction or not being sexually attracted to them. And my most recent partner, I thought it was there because I felt so romantic when I first met him. I do wish I had paused and not brought it into the realm of the romantic and the sexual, just to see what the charge was, because I think that I would have discovered that it was brotherly love, that I really loved this person but wasn't sexually attracted to them. And then I just broke his heart over and over and over because I wasn't sexually attracted to him.
Yeah.
And luckily we were able to kind of over communicate. He had done quite a bit of work, especially for somebody so young. He was younger than me by a lot, by 10 years, I think. And he had done a lot of work around communication. We were able to communicate around the triggers and how we were triggering each other. And we did try to see if we could make things work. But at some point I got angry at something and I used it as an opportunity to break free, because often my sadness or my recognizing that something's not working and feeling sad or bad about it doesn't have me end it, but getting angry with the person does. That gives me the impetus to end something.
Yeah.
And then I've had a fair amount of lovers who I was really sexually attracted to who were just not that interested in me. And if I do the examination, I recognize that I actually wasn't that interested in them as people either.
What were you interested in?
There was great chemistry. So the physicality of it was really exciting. And I could almost trick myself into believing that I liked them as a person, because I don't find myself physically attracted to a large amount of people. And what I have been saying, which I would like to stop saying because I don't think it's helping me, but I've been saying it's challenging for me to find someone that I'm sexually attracted to, who's sexually attracted to me, and who's at liberty to do something about it. So there is an unavailable men pattern, and I can trace that to my primary model of relationshiping, right, which is my parents, and the fact that my mom always wanted more attention from my father than he was willing to give her. He craved a lot of alone time, and I think I'm very similar to him in that way, actually. And then I think she tried to get that attention and care and love from me after they got divorced, but I was very resistant, and I think that has caused some ruptures that still reverberate through this day in my relationship with her.
And how has that contributed to how you are in your romantic relationships? Can you talk a bit more about that?
I can see how choosing unavailable men has benefits and what I call shadow benefits for me. You know, for instance, a benefit is that I have as much freedom as I could possibly want, as much alone time as I could possibly want, because when I engage with an unavailable man, there's really no danger that he's going to encroach upon my freedom and time, because he's just completely off doing his own business. The shadow of that is that I don't have to draw boundaries. I don't have to learn how to ask for and make space for and demand the time that I actually need to nourish myself. So there my codependency shows up, right? And choosing men who won't encroach upon my art or my alone time or my friend time. And when somebody did, like in this last relationship, I felt really uncomfortable, stifled. I wanted more space, and I did a better job than in the past of negotiating for it. But still, I really gave in a lot to together time when I really needed apart time. And another shadow benefit is that, you know, if I have this story, this childhood story of not being good enough, not being enough, not being worthy enough, not being beautiful enough, not being successful enough, whatever it is, not being enough, then choosing unavailable men will always reinforce that story for me.
Yeah.
Which is what I call a shadow benefit, right? It's like, it's an ugly benefit that reinforces this unhealthy status quo, internal status quo.
Yeah. What are you protecting yourself from by choosing unavailable men?
The first thing that came to mind was breaking people's hearts. I didn't realize that I was afraid of breaking people's hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it makes a lot of sense since, you know, with my college boyfriend and my most recent one is a very similar kind of dynamic. And I really hurt these very, very good men. He's married now, my college boyfriend, and ostensibly very happy. But I know that he shut down for years after that. I don't know any of the women, but I think that his response to our relationship was to turn into the opposite of the good man, the opposite of the good boyfriend. And I guess I feel guilty about that.
Yeah. This comes up a lot in my interviews with people, that one of the reasons to avoid getting close to someone or to choose people who are not available is because they don't want to hurt the good ones.
Oh, man. Yeah, I've definitely hurt some good ones. And they didn't deserve that. I really did them a disservice. I knew I wasn't sexually attracted. Or I knew very quickly, at least with the last one, you know? And I guess I'm afraid that long-term sexual attraction is elusive, and maybe that will happen again, I suppose.
I mean, this exploration is what happens, right? So when we meet someone, we have to step forward to understand what is happening between us. We are to understand if there is attraction, to understand if our values align, if we can have a future together. And we only find that out by being in that situation. And I think in our earlier explorations, of course, we're going to fuck up a little bit. We're going to stay in a relationship too long because, you know, maybe this is good. Maybe this is the right thing. Or we come out of relationships that were actually good for us. You know, we're kind of Bambi on ice and exploring. And I think we have to allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to explore and both take responsibility for our own position in that. Because the thing that I notice is that after a few experiences where, you know, we feel like, oh, I've broken a few hearts, then that becomes a reason to avoid. That becomes the reason not to go into the right relationship. It becomes a protection strategy. And as long as we are protecting ourselves, our underlying needs remain unfulfilled.
It's really interesting because I really thought it was about hurting myself. Like, this was a way that I am comfortable hurting myself, is choosing unavailable men. I hadn't connected before that I'm concerned I'm going to hurt them. Yeah, I do not enjoy rejecting people. I do not enjoy causing pain. But of course, yeah, you don't experiment, nothing happens.
The thing that comes up with clients that I've worked with in the past is I'm not going to go all the way in, because what if I go in and then I don't want to be there?
Yeah.
So then I'm going to stay out and I'm never going to know.
I've had the sense that feeling chosen would be a kind of antidote to the wound, the childhood wound. And also being chosen and having all that focus is scary. And I do feel fear around being suffocated, around the air being squeezed out of the relationship. And that's when I think I'm not going to be attracted to them. And then, it's going to fall apart because I'm going to feel trapped.
When you say being chosen, what do you mean?
Well, I've had a story also that, and this is not true, obviously, since I've had some relationships, but I have had a story that men are very happy to fuck me, but they don't want to be in a relationship with me. And it's not true, because there's plenty of men who would love to be in a relationship with me that I'm not interested in and I'm not attracted to. It's not a true story, but there have been many men who had a primary partner, were in some kind of polyamorous relationship, and wanted to have me as like a secondary or a tertiary lover, but they had their partner. And I remember really vividly with this one man, because I was so enamored with him from afar. I didn't see very much of him for years, but then we became lovers at a certain point. And I remember him saying, my wife is the sun and all other women are the stars. And I was like, okay, I don't feel good being your lesser star. There's a man that I'm in communication with now who is intelligent and sexy and wonderful to talk to. I haven't met him in person. It's been across the seas in this time, this wild time in the world. But he also has a primary partner. And though he's well versed in polyamorous relationships, and I don't think he would be so callous is really the word that I want to say, as to be in bed with me being like, this woman is my sun and you are a lesser star. Like I still think I would feel that way. But when I ask myself, do I want all of his attention? I don't know that I do. I don't even know him. And so I've not been putting energy into that, even though it's the only connection in a very long time that's felt really good. Because, then I'm on Instagram and there's a post about, that he's written this poem, The Queen of My Universe, about his partner. And I'm like, I would like to be somebody's queen. The priority. I think it's about being someone's priority.
Yeah.
And I've been deprioritized in most of my shorter term relationships. I just haven't been treated as a priority.
Have you been the sun?
Yes, I was the sun for my college boyfriend. And I was the sun for this last boyfriend as well. But those were men that I wasn't sexually attracted to, so it was very sad. I think it was like a little tragedy for me.
I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between the sexual relationship and the emotional relationship.
How so?
I don't know. I'm stabbing in the dark here. Does that bring up anything for you? That I hear you talking a lot about the sexual relationship, and then I hear you talking about the emotional relationship, the brotherly love on the other side, and I'm curious whether you've experienced both together.
I don't think so. I would love to be with somebody that I was sexually intellectually and emotionally attracted to, but I don't know that I've ever experienced that, ever had all of that together. And even the sexual and emotional, sometimes I wished that I could compartmentalize and have it feel good, just have the person that I have sex with, and that's our sexual relationship. That's what works for us, and that's good. And then I have my partner person, my companion person. But that's because I haven't experienced it in the same person.
Mm. Can I ask about your needs? If you think about these relationships that you have been talking about, what needs were fulfilled in these relationships?
With Cameron, who's my college boyfriend, I felt so loved. I really felt seen in who I was, and he was just a generally well-balanced person, and I was struggling with depression and my mother's mental illness, but I didn't feel embarrassed, and I would share with him, and he would hold me. He really held me. And he was just excellent company. We did this thing where we read the Harry Potter books out loud to each other, doing all the voices, because we were in acting school, and we were big nerds, and it was just such great company. So he really fulfilled that desire that perhaps has been unfulfilled since childhood of having a companion. I never had a sibling. I never really had a companion. That was fulfilled. And then with Patrick, who is my most recent partner, he was so willing to unpack everything and to go in with curiosity, and he was constantly having revelations, and it was almost too much sometimes. It's like so much process, so much work, Can we just relax a little bit? But his willingness to do that, his willingness to grow, he really fulfilled that desire of mine to be willing to grow with somebody. That was a very beautiful part of our relationship, even though it did bring us a lot of pain. There was this willingness to uncover. We had a really incredible conversation once on a train. I was having these, threesome fantasies, and then he had connected with a friend of mine, and we spent, the hour on this train upstate, just where I just peeled back the layers, and said, there's this piece, there's this piece of she and I just became friends again. I don't want to lose that. And there's this piece where I feel, the concern that she's going to then become your primary interest. And then there's this piece where it's titillating and it's exciting. And we went and we just peeled all the layers, and we felt so good and so connected afterwards. So that willingness and that emotional intelligence, that was there, and that was very right. That was fulfilling. It was deeply fulfilling.
What did you long for in these relationships?
I wanted to be turned on by them. Really wanted to be turned on. I've often also longed for intellectual stimulation inside my relationships. I would love to have a partner who, like my dearest friends, have brains that I just want to bring what's inside my mind to them and see what they think about it, because it's so likely that they're going to say something that I didn't think of myself. And I'm so excited to bring it to them and see what they think. I would love to feel that way about my partner.
What do you need to feel totally safe and free to be all in a relationship?
Yeah, they would need to not have other partners. That doesn't make me feel safe to feel all in. So they would need to be to be single.
So I want to ask you that again, but this time I want you to take the focus away from them and put it on you and what you need.
What
or
would
the
I need
situation.
to feel
Yeah.
all in? What would I need to be all in?
Yeah, absolutely.
From
So
myself?
from yourself and the situation. So it's okay for you to say that you want to be the primary partner, but I don't want to hear that, they are not. I want to hear from, because I don't want to give them the power right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what do you need in order to feel totally safe, at ease, and free to be all in?
I need to feel prioritized. I need to feel desired. I need to feel stimulated. Valued. Deeply valued. And seen. That I don't need to be on all the time. Charming all the time.
Thank you. You need to be prioritized, to be desired, to be stimulated, to be valued, to be seen, and to not have to be always on, not performing.
Yeah, and I really need to be turned on in more ways than sexually, but I need to be lit up. I need to be excited.
You need to be not on, but turned on.
Yeah. Yeah, which is not about performance, but about feeling.
Exactly. So can we now share a bit about the future that we are going towards? I mean, you've already shared your intention for a relationship. Now we get to map out what we're looking for.
Where do we start?
I often like to start at attraction because I think that we need this catalyst that drives us to learn all about a person, something that energizes the connection. And I would love to hear first, what is that attraction for you?
I'm very drawn to a face, a beautiful face, a smile, warm and charming and fascinating and mischievous. I feel really excited in the presence of certain men who are tall enough and big enough that I feel like they can envelop me, lift me up, throw me over their shoulder, toss me around, throw me up in the air. Smell is very important to me, and that is an X factor that I cannot explain. I'm very smell sensitive, a super smeller, and there's a lot of people who smell bad or wrong to me. And so they just have to smell neutral or right. But I can't tell you what that is because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's unexplainable.
That's the part a humble matchmaker may not be able to sniff out.
Of course. A sniff out. Oh, goodness. Yes. No, of course. Of course.
So if you imagine that you have this attraction with someone, that there is some type of excitement there that wants you to, or that motivates you to get to know this person and spend time with them and, want to know every mundane detail about their life, then what are you hoping is below the surface?
Below the surface in what way?
In terms of their values, their beliefs, their character.
Yeah. Authenticity is incredibly important to me. So, genuineness. They are as they seem. They're not hiding or masking up. Honesty is important to them, and so they work on their communication because it's important to them to speak the truth and be received in their truth. They care about their relationships and cultivating the intimate relationships in their lives, which, as you know about me, isn't relegated to the sexual and the romantic, but includes the sexual and the romantic. So they invest in their relationships. They're curious and exploratory and have a kind of lust for life. They love being alive. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to play, they want to experience. They're open-minded. They absolutely have to be liberal. There is no room with me for any kind of bigotry. I was horrified to learn that my ex was a Republican-leaning person. I was like, who are you? I don't know you at all. Oh my God, what have I done? So just it's absolutely necessary that they've got to have love for people. What else is important? They're creative and they care about things. They're passionate about things, whatever things they love. But they define themselves by what they love, not by what they dislike or hate. I think there's a lot of people in my generation who define themselves by what they hate.
Yeah.
He's not like that. He unabashedly loves things and people.
And when it comes to the values that you share, are there values that are close to your heart that is important for you to share in a relationship?
I think I just named them, did I not?
Yeah, you mentioned authenticity.
Authenticity, integrity. There's also a generosity that I find important, that I value. A lust for life and desire to explore, passion, all those things are incredibly important to me. Creativity.
And something we've spoken a bit about already, but the future of the relationship. What are your goals for a relationship?
The only thing that really comes to mind is wanting to travel together and explore and have adventures, be great companions in the curiosity of the world. I don't have any vision or real desire for, I don't want children. I don't really want pets necessarily. I don't have a hankering for a particular kind of home or a particular place. I just really want to be each other's home, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds beautiful, to be each other's home.
Yeah. That's what I would like.
And you mentioned earlier some of the needs that you have, which, what to be prioritized, to be desired, to be stimulated, to be valued, to be seen, to not be on, but to be turned on.
Yes.
And I will keep repeating them.
They all sound just as good as the first time.
Are these the core needs for a romantic relationship for you?
Yeah, I think so. To be valued, desired, seen, not to be on, but to be turned on, stimulated, prioritized. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah, I repeat this because I think it's so important. The majority of people that I meet every day want to find someone who fulfills all their needs, but they don't know what those needs are. So we're just expecting someone to come along and tell us what we need. And maybe they do at the beginning. They we feel completed somehow, but then we don't know why we feel completed. And maybe they get distracted and go somewhere else, and we're like, hang on a minute, those needs that I have, you were fulfilling them. Now you're not. Come back. So I think that one of the fundamental things that I look at is, what are those needs, so that we can own them and we can spot when someone is able to give us the gift of meeting us in our need.
And also, there's the adult or the mature, let's say, view that no one will fulfill all the needs. It's not possible, right? And we find something that is enough for us, and we choose it.
I think what happens is when we are children, it is our parents' responsibility to take care of our needs. And then in adulthood, we can transfer that responsibility onto our romantic partners, instead of owning those needs ourselves. So I look at needs from a gifting perspective, that for the relationship to work, our partner needs to be able to meet us in our needs. They don't have to be in there all the time, but our core relationship needs, they need to be able to meet us there. And when they are meeting us in these needs, then we see it as a gift. Like, thank you so much for being there. It's not your responsibility. You're not going to be there forever. This is a temporary gift, and I'm grateful for it.
Right. It's not your job. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah. And I think that this is at the core of a relationship, because if we look at a relationship as an emotional bond, in every emotional bond, there are emotional needs. And if we want to reach that fulfillment in our relationship, then those needs need to be met. What I also see is that a lot of us are in survival mode when it comes to relationships, and we are having our protection strategies. For example, avoiding. And as long as we are using these protection strategies, our underlying needs remain unfulfilled.
Avoidance is definitely my vice.
That's a good one, right?
It's very effective in so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I often say that the brain is brilliant at survival, but it's lousy at love.
Yes.
We are evolved to survive.
I am surviving. Definitely. Yes.
But now it's time to love. And that means calming down the survival brain and taking out those needs and daring to let the good guys meet you there. Even if you don't know that you can absolutely be there tomorrow or in 5 years, as long as you're honest that you want to be there now.
I would love to find someone that I want to be there now with.
How does it feel to share all of this?
I feel soft, a little sad, a little hopeful, a little dreamy.
Is there anything either about yourself or about the relationships that you dream of that we haven't talked about and that you would like to share?
From what I've learned about attachment styles, it seems like I could probably do a lot of healing with somebody who had a secure attachment style.
Absolutely.
But also, I have a sense that, why would someone who's so happy and well-adjusted be happy to be with someone who has a depressive history and anxious avoidant yo-yos?
There is a story there that you're telling yourself.
Well, yeah, because I see how good balanced people love difficult fucking people all the time.
All the time it happens. You're like, why are they with that person? They love that person, you know?
But tell me this. What do you love about being you?
I love my creativity. I love my brain. I love my ability to discern situations, my ability to read people. I love my ability to empathize, which maybe I shouldn't have had to learn. Or as somebody was saying that, oh, you can walk into a room. It was Jamie Lee Finch. She said, oh, you can walk into a room and immediately know everything that's happening and how people feel about it. I'm so sorry you ever had to learn how to do that. So there's that, but I still love that about myself. I still think that's a superpower. I love my compassion. What was the question? Did you ask me what I love about myself?
What do you love about being you?
About being me. Yeah, I love that there's so much deliciousness in the way that I experience the world and the pleasure that I cultivate, the beauty that I see, the beauty that I frame in my eyes as a lens and in actual lenses. I love getting dressed up. I love being myself when I'm self-expressed in this physical form in the way that I really want to be. I love that when I feel good with people, I can make them laugh and have the most delicious conversations.
So
I love being sensual. Yes. Those are some things I love about being me.
I knew that there was lots of things that you love about being you. I can tell how passionate you are and how rich your internal world is. So I wanted you to share that so that you can be in that space. And now I want you to shift the perspective and tell me, what is your partner going to love about being with you?
My partner will love my thoughtfulness. They will love the care with which I interact with them. They'll love that I get lit up about things and passionate and excited and nerdy. They'll love that I have a loud, infectious laugh. They'll love that I care. I just really care about people, about the planet, about people hurting, about my friends, about helping people be more intimate. They'll love that I have a mission and I do my best to fulfill it, even though I have these internal challenges. Still do it.
That sounds like a lot of reasons for someone to want to be with you. Right?
Yeah.
And I know that we're only just scraping the surface of the magic that you have, of the gifts that you have, of what magic you have within yourself and what magic you will create in a relationship, and how much someone else will enjoy those gifts that you can have together.
Yeah. They'll also love my singing voice.
I told you, only scratching the surface.
Yes.
When you're telling yourself that story, it's important to remember this.
The story about the secure attachment people.
Yeah, why would they want to be with me?
Yeah, I do. I do know I have a lot to offer. And I do know.
Yeah.
And everybody has their issues. And so if, God, if you had to be enough in the way that I think of enough to be loved, that would be crazy. You would just not be human.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
No one is secure all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though
Of
I've seen
course.
stats that says, about 50% of people are secure attached or have a secure attachment style, no one is secure all the time. And I think it becomes a bit of a myth that we see this group of people that, oh, wow, they are secure.
Yeah.
But we're all a little bit fucked up.
Right. I mean, we're not seeing them, in the bathroom at 3 a.m. when they can't sleep and, curled up on the couch because they got kicked out of their bed or, yeah, I know.
And I think that also with building a secure relationship, it is not so much about your history and what's happened, but your awareness of this and your ability to be mindful of that and consciously build a secure partnership.
Mindful of what?
So there are 3 levels of consciousness in relationships. One, where you are reactive and you are reacting in the present based on your past situations. Level 2, where you can be reflective of what has happened, so you can connect the dots. And level 3, where you can be mindfully aware and then take conscious action. And that awareness is that you notice that this thing coming towards you is something that is a trigger. And know that when I have this trigger, I will probably avoid. But I know, but I don't choose to avoid because I'm looking at that from afar, and I choose the most helpful approach. I choose the most helpful action that leads to connection.
This episode was mixed and mastered by Irving Goodori, igrecording.com on the interwebs. My cover art was illustrated by Shauna Shea, whom you can find on 99 Designs. This remix of my original intro music was created by Kid Mental, an a cappella beatbox musician and a Black creator you can support right now. In fact, I thought you might want to hear from him directly, so I asked him to record you a little message. Here's Kid.
Hey, hello, horizontal lovers. By now, I'm sure most of you have heard Lila's new rendition of her theme song, and I hope you love it because I am the voice behind it. My name is Kid Mental, and I write custom beatbox songs to celebrate you. These songs aren't just for podcasters or business types. They were created for average listeners in mind. And so if you are listening to this, then this is for you. You can get your own theme song to celebrate you, a friend or a loved one, or someone passed gone. These songs are here to lift you up and to give you some kind of inspiration during the day. And best of all, they're free. Go to www.kidmental.com/free stuff to get your free theme song today. That's KIDMENTAL.com. And hey, if you like what I'm doing and want to support the free theme song initiative, please become a supporter at www.patreon.com/kidmental. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful day. Be well and stay safe.
If you'd like one-on-one guidance from me on your intimate struggles, I now offer personal intimacy roadmap sessions. They are 60-minute sessions of sex-positive, judgment-free, kink-aware, LGBTQ+ celebratory, gender-affirming support for what ails you in the realm of sex, love, and relationships of any kind. A session includes exercises and techniques, recommendations, homework, and a tailored roadmap of resources to use as you navigate the terrain of your intimacy challenge. One happy client of mine said, "I've had a lot of therapy, but you give advice a therapist cannot give." To schedule, email lila@horizontalwithlila.com, and I'll send you my welcome form so I can best prepare for you. If you desire ongoing support of your intimate growth, become a patron of the Horizontal Arts at the $100 a month level and receive a 30-minute coaching session every month. To peruse all the patron tiers and sign up, navigate directly to patreon.com/horizontalwithlila, patreon.com/horizontalwithlila, and thank you for being a part of making the world a more intimate place. Next week, in part 2 of our 4-part arc, I interview Lamarck. Our second experiment is my very first themed episode. The theme? Matchmaking. I have so many questions. So many questions. I want to know so much about matchmaking, don't you? Thank you for listening to this experiment. Thank you for getting horizontal.
If I were your client, what would we do next?
We've talked a bit about your life and your relationships, the future that you're dreaming of and going towards, and also some of the challenges and some of the blocks that might be standing in your way right now. And from this point, we would do a parallel process, one where we start to search for, assess, and introduce potentially compatible matches to you, whom you will meet, and then we get feedback and learn from these experiences. And 2, we start a coaching program that is parallel to this, where from the experiences that you're having in the process and from the things that we've learned from what you shared about your life, we start looking at your blocks or your patterns. And to some extent, I become a mirror for you when you start to play these patterns out. So for example, I introduce you to, Mr. Perfect, of course, and you go out because everybody on my books is Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect. You go out on a date and you both click, and then what do? You think, oh, this is a really good guy. I don't want to hurt him, so let's caution, how close should I be? And then I notice this and I say, Lilo, this is what you're doing right now. You think he's a good match, so therefore you're stepping back. And what is he picking up? He thinks you're not that interested in him. He thinks that you're not so serious about relationships, and therefore he's not sure that he wants to be all in either. So I put that in front of you and you go, okay, what do I do with that?
Yeah.
And we do that for 12 months until you meet the one that you end up in a relationship with, and you travel the world and explore life and enjoy a wonderful future together. Pretty simple.
Yes, naturally. Yes. Of course. Claro.
Yeah, I mean the matchmaking process is actually quite straightforward in that way. We're a bit like a recruitment company searching for potential matches and making introductions and learning from it along the way. What's complicated is people.